Have you ever wondered why a woman who seems so strong on the outside can sometimes feel distant, misunderstood, or even untouchable? Why is it that the same woman who carries herself with confidence, who looks unshakable in front of the world, often hides emotions so deeply that even the closest people in her life never see them? The truth is, strength can be a mask. Behind that mask are vulnerabilities that very few men ever recognize, and those who do instantly stand apart from the rest. Every woman you meet carries layers of emotion that go far beyond what she shows. Society teaches her to be tough, to smile through pain, to appear as though nothing can break her. She learns early on that showing weakness may be seen as fragile, needy, or less valuable. So she builds walls. She becomes good at hiding her fears, her doubts, her insecurities until most people believe she has none at all. But that illusion of strength is exactly what keeps so many men blind to what's really happening inside her heart. And if you fail to see what's hidden, you fail to connect on the deepest level. The reason most men struggle in relationships isn't because they don't care. It's because they don't notice. They see confidence, but they miss the quiet anxiety that hides beneath it. They hear her laughter, but they don't realize that sometimes it's covering silence she doesn't know how to share. They assume her independence means she doesn't need support when in reality she craves understanding more than she will ever admit. That's the paradox every man must learn to see. The stronger she appears, the more carefully she may be hiding her weaknesses. Now, here's why this matters for you. If you can recognize these hidden places within her, you gain something rare. You gain her trust in a way most men never will. You become the safe space where she no longer feels the need to perform strength. You become the man she can finally exhale around. And that is powerful, because once she feels safe to be herself, she gives back a loyalty, a depth of love, and a connection that no mask of toughness could ever provide. Think about it. How many people in her life do you think truly notice the small cracks in her armor? How many men take the time to understand the emotions she hides, rather than just reacting to the ones she shows? Very few. That's why so many relationships fail. Not because of lack of love, but because of lack of awareness. And awareness is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. When you begin to see past the surface, you stop being just another man in her life. You become the one who sees her not as a perfect picture, but as a real human being with battles, insecurities, and hidden wounds. Psychology proves this truth. Women are often more emotionally expressive, yet they are also more likely to suppress their pain, fearing they'll be judged as too emotional or too sensitive. This means what she hides is often greater than what she reveals. If you can learn to read between the lines, to feel what she doesn't say, you unlock a level of intimacy that others can't reach. And here lies the reward for you. When you understand her hidden weaknesses, you don't just improve your relationship, you transform yourself into a man of depth, empathy, and true strength. Most men chase power, wealth, or admiration, but they ignore the very skill that creates unshakable bonds with people, emotional awareness. Imagine the difference it would make in your life if you mastered this one skill. Not just in love, but in every connection you have. The ability to notice what others overlook gives you influence, trust, and respect that cannot be faked. This is why you must pay attention now, because the more you overlook, the more you lose opportunities for real connection. The more you dismiss the signs, the more you push her into silence. But the moment you choose to see, everything changes. You begin to notice when her smile doesn't match her eyes. You sense when her words don't reflect her feelings. You catch the hesitation behind her confidence. And when you respond with patience, with understanding, with steady strength, she begins to let you in. That is when walls come down. That is when the bond becomes unbreakable. So ask yourself, do you want to be like most men, blind to the truths that lie right in front of them, or do you want to rise higher, to see deeper, to connect on a level that only a rare few ever experience? The choice is yours. But know this, the man who learns to see what she hides becomes unforgettable. And if you stay with me, you will discover the hidden weaknesses every man must understand. Weaknesses that, once recognized, will turn you into the kind of man she not only wants, but the kind of man she will never forget. The truth most men never realize is that behind every strong woman lies a hidden battlefield she fights daily. Some of these battles are silent, invisible, and carefully disguised, yet they shape how she feels, how she loves, and how she responds to the world. To ignore these struggles is to live blind. To recognize them is to hold a power that very few men ever achieve. One of her deepest struggles is the constant fear of rejection. No matter how beautiful, intelligent, or successful she may be, that fear lingers in the back of her mind. It whispers that she might not be enough, that at any moment she could be abandoned, replaced, or forgotten. She may never voice it, but it's there. And the way you respond to her presence, whether you make her feel seen or make her feel invisible, determines if that fear grows or fades. A careless word, a distracted glance, or an absence of appreciation can cut deeper than you imagine, while genuine recognition can become a healing force she never forgets. She also carries the weight of self-doubt about her appearance. Society magnifies this weakness relentlessly, creating impossible standards that no woman can fully live up to. Even the woman you see as flawless may secretly stand in front of the mirror and criticize herself for hours. She notices every detail she believes is imperfect, even when you see none of it. And though she may smile and laugh as if nothing touches her, inside, she wrestles with insecurities that can crush her confidence. The man who understands this does not feed those doubts with silence or neglect. He reminds her through presence, attention, and words that she is more than enough exactly as she is. Another hidden weakness is her silent craving for validation. Not shallow praise, not empty compliments, but genuine validation that comes from being truly understood. Every woman longs for the reassurance that her efforts, her sacrifices, and her struggles are not unseen. She desires to know that who she is, not just what she does, is valued. Yet pride often keeps her from asking for it directly. She doesn't want to appear needy, so she carries the burden quietly. This is where a man's awareness becomes powerful. To notice what she gives, to acknowledge her heart without being asked, is to give her a sense of worth that strengthens her from within. Then there is the constant battle between independence and the desire for support. She has been taught to stand on her own, to prove that she needs no one. And she does it well, but deep inside, there are moments she wishes she could simply lean on someone without fear of being judged as weak. The paradox is that she longs for strength in a man, not because she cannot survive without it, but because she wants the freedom to rest her guard when she's with him. To misunderstand this is to mistake her independence as a rejection of help, when in truth, she is silently hoping for someone strong enough to carry the weight with her. Her silence itself is another weakness, though few men realize it. When she withdraws, it is not always because she has nothing to say. Often, it's because she feels words will not be enough, or worse, that they will not be understood. That silence is a test. It asks, without speaking, whether you can feel her even when she's not explaining herself. Most men miss it. They get frustrated. They demand explanations, or they simply walk away. But the rare man sees the silence as communication in itself. He listens not just with his ears, but with his heart, recognizing that sometimes the loudest cries are the ones that make no sound. Science confirms what intuition already knows. Women are more emotionally expressive, but they are also more likely to hide their pain, to avoid being judged as overly sensitive. This means that her outward strength often conceals the very weaknesses that shape her deepest needs. She doesn't hide them because she doesn't want you to know. She hides them because she fears you won't understand. And this is where your role becomes critical. Understanding isn't just about hearing her words, it's about seeing through them, feeling beyond them, and responding in a way that shows you're attuned to her unspoken truth. What most men fail to grasp is that these weaknesses are not flaws. They are the hidden places where her humanity shines brightest. They are the cracks that allow real connection to form. If you approach them with ignorance, they become walls that separate you from her heart. But if you approach them with awareness and respect, they become bridges that bring you closer than anyone else could ever be. The reward is not small. A woman who feels understood at her weakest will give her strongest love. She will trust with a depth that cannot be shaken. She will commit with loyalty that does not waver, and she will open her heart in ways she never could with a man who only sees the surface. This is why it is never enough to admire her strength. You must also honor her weakness. Ask yourself this: how many men are truly willing to go beyond what is visible and step into the unseen struggles she carries? How many are willing to take the time, the patience, and the awareness it requires to truly know her heart? The answer is very few. But the ones who do, the ones who learn to read what others ignore, become unforgettable in her life. They are not just men she loves, they are men she treasures. And that is the level you should strive for. Because in the end, a man's greatness is not measured by how many people admire him, but by how deeply he can connect with those who matter most. And the woman in your life, no matter how strong she appears, holds hidden weaknesses that once understood will not only transform your relationship, but will also elevate you into the kind of man who leads with both strength and wisdom. Awareness is the difference between a man who coexists with a woman and a man who truly leads her into a deeper connection. The moment you begin to see her not just as she appears, but as she feels, you unlock a level of power that few ever discover. And this power is not about control. It's about presence. It's about carrying yourself with such steadiness that she no longer has to hide behind her armor. She begins to feel safe enough to reveal the truth she keeps from everyone else, that safety is what builds unbreakable bonds, the kind that no circumstance, no distance, and no challenge can easily destroy. Think about the kind of men who leave a lasting mark in history, in relationships, in the hearts of people they touch. They are not remembered only for their strength or their achievements. They are remembered because they carried the rare ability to feel deeply and to act with wisdom. Empathy was not their weakness, it was their weapon. It allowed them to influence, to inspire, and to lead in ways that brute strength alone never could. When you develop this awareness, you step into that same category of men. You separate yourself from the masses who operate only at the surface level. The truth is, many men are afraid of emotional awareness. They believe it makes them vulnerable, that it strips them of their masculinity. But the opposite is true. Awareness sharpens you. It gives you clarity others lack. It allows you to navigate conflict with strength instead of anger, to respond to emotion with understanding instead of distance, to build loyalty instead of suspicion. A man without awareness reacts blindly. A man with awareness chooses wisely. That difference is what defines maturity, leadership, and influence. When you start to notice her hidden struggles, you begin to see opportunities instead of problems. Her insecurities become an invitation for you to reassure her. Her silence becomes a chance for you to show patience. Her fear of rejection becomes a moment where you can provide security. Instead of being frustrated by her emotions, you become the steady hand that guides her through them. That steadiness is not weakness. It is the strongest form of dominance. It shows you are unshaken by storms, and in that strength, she finds rest. The greatest mistake most men make is assuming that providing solutions is enough, but often she doesn't need solutions, she needs presence. She needs to know you see her, that you're aware of what's unspoken, that you are tuned in not just to her words, but to her energy. When she feels that, her guard lowers and her trust rises. That trust is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Without it, love feels fragile. With it, love feels unbreakable. Awareness also shapes the way she respects you. A man who notices what others miss instantly earns a level of admiration that cannot be forced. Respect is not demanded. It is drawn out by the strength of character you display. When she realizes that you don't just hear her, but understand her, she sees you as rare, and what is rare is always valued. In a world where most men only care about being heard, you become the one who listens with intention. That difference is magnetic. It pulls her closer, not out of obligation, but out of choice. This awareness does not just impact your relationship with her, it impacts who you become as a man. It strengthens your ability to lead in every area of life. A man who can understand emotions gains influence at work, with friends, with family. He becomes the one people turn to in chaos because they sense his calm. He becomes the one others trust with responsibility because they know he sees more than what's obvious. Awareness expands your power in ways you cannot measure because it gives you an edge most men will never have. But here's where the challenge lies. Awareness requires effort. It demands that you slow down, that you observe, that you resist the urge to rush past the details. It requires discipline to quiet your own ego long enough to truly notice hers. This is why so few men ever develop it. They are too busy trying to prove themselves, too consumed by their own insecurities to see what lies in front of them. But for the man who chooses to develop it, the reward is life-changing. Imagine being the man who never has to question her loyalty because he has built it through understanding. Imagine being the man who never has to fight for respect because his awareness commands it naturally. Imagine being the man who carries himself with such depth that everyone around him feels his presence, even in silence. That is what awareness creates. It transforms you into more than just another man. It makes you unforgettable. This is the kind of greatness every man claims to want, but very few are willing to work for. It is not found in chasing validation, in showing off strength, or in proving dominance. It is found in the ability to master yourself so that you can understand others. It is found in the courage to see what most ignore, and in the patience to respond in ways that build trust instead of breaking it. A woman's hidden weaknesses are not just lessons about her, they are lessons about you. They reveal whether you are capable of leading with strength and compassion, or whether you will crumble under the weight of emotions you do not understand. They reveal whether you are just another man in her life, or the man she will never forget. And the truth is, the choice is always yours. You can live blind, missing the depth right in front of you, or you can rise above, sharpen your awareness, and step into the rare kind of power that makes you both respected and deeply loved. A man becomes unforgettable not because of how loudly he speaks, but because of how deeply he understands. The rare man who chooses awareness transforms every relationship he touches. And the impact goes far beyond romance. It reaches into the way he carries himself, the way people perceive him, and the kind of legacy he leaves behind. Greatness is not built on surface-level strength. It is built on the courage to step into what others fear, the truth of human vulnerability. Every woman secretly longs for a man who can see her without judgment. She may never say it out loud, but what she desires most is not perfection. It is safety. Safety to reveal her fears, her flaws, her weaknesses, without worrying that they will be used against her. When you provide that, she gives back something most men never receive. She gives back loyalty so fierce it cannot be shaken, respect so deep it cannot be faked, and love so powerful it cannot be broken. She invests everything, not because she has to, but because she knows she has finally found something rare. This is why your awareness is not optional. It is essential. It is the difference between a shallow connection that fades and a bond that stands the test of time. When she feels you notice what others overlook, she attaches her trust to you. That trust is not given lightly. It is earned through consistency, patience, and presence. And when she gives it, it becomes the strongest foundation you will ever stand on. But here's the truth that most men miss. Awareness without action is useless. Seeing her hidden weaknesses means nothing if you do not respond with strength. You cannot simply recognize her fear of rejection. You must become the one who consistently proves she is chosen. You cannot only notice her insecurity. You must be the voice that reminds her of her worth. You cannot simply observe her silence. You must create the space where silence feels safe. Awareness is the first step, but action is what transforms it into power. This is what separates the average from the extraordinary. An average man notices but does nothing. An extraordinary man notices and steps forward. He becomes the anchor in her storm, the calm in her chaos, the reassurance in her doubt. He does not need to be perfect. He simply needs to be present, steady, and real. And in that steadiness, he becomes the one man she cannot imagine living without. Psychology proves that people do not bond through perfection. They bond through vulnerability. When she reveals her weakness and you hold it with strength, the bond deepens. When she risks showing her hidden self and you respond with acceptance, her trust multiplies. The strongest connections are not built when everything is easy. They are built in the moments when weakness meets understanding. And if you can master those moments, you will hold a place in her heart that no other man can reach. This is why empathy is not soft. It is not weak. It is one of the strongest forces a man can possess. It demands self-control, patience, and discipline. It requires you to rise above your own ego, to silence your impulse to react, and to choose the higher path of response. Any man can get angry. Any man can walk away. But it takes a rare kind of man to stand firm, to listen deeply, and to answer with wisdom. That kind of man earns not only love, but respect that lasts a lifetime. And the reward is not only emotional, it is personal transformation. As you train yourself to see beyond the surface, you sharpen your instincts. You become a man who notices opportunities others miss, who recognizes hidden strengths in people as well as weaknesses, who can lead because he understands. That ability sets you apart in every area of life. It makes you a better partner, a better leader, a better friend, and ultimately, a better man. So the question is simple. Will you settle for being like most men, blind to what lies beneath, or will you rise into the rare category of men who see deeper, feel stronger, and lead with wisdom? The choice determines the quality of your relationships, the depth of your influence, and the kind of legacy you leave behind. Because in the end, what makes a man unforgettable is not his wealth, his appearance, or even his charm. It is his ability to step into the hidden places of a woman's heart and offer strength where she feels weak, clarity where she feels confused, and safety where she feels exposed. That is the man she treasures, the man she remembers, and the man she will never let go. And when you choose to become that man, you do more than understand her. You redefine yourself. You become the kind of man who leaves a mark that time cannot erase. The measure of a man is revealed in what he chooses to notice when others are blind. Most men see only the surface, and that is why they remain ordinary. But the man who decides to see deeper, to recognize what is hidden, and to respond with strength and wisdom becomes extraordinary. He rises above the noise of the world because he carries something rare, the ability to make another person feel completely understood. That ability is not just about women, it is about life. It is about developing a presence so powerful that people cannot help but feel your impact. A woman who feels truly seen will never forget you. Not because of what you gave her, not because of what you owned, but because of how you made her feel in her most vulnerable moments. When she sensed fear but found your reassurance, when she felt insecure but saw your steady gaze, when she carried doubt but heard your unshakable belief in her, that is when she connected to you at a level that no one else could reach. These are the defining moments. They are small, often invisible to outsiders, yet they determine the strength of the bond you build. Most men underestimate the power of consistency. They believe one grand gesture is enough, one compliment is enough, one act of kindness is enough. But true strength is not proven once, it is proven daily. Every word, every action, every choice you make either strengthens her trust or weakens it. The man who stays consistent, who chooses awareness again and again, becomes the man she trusts without hesitation. That trust is priceless, because once it is formed, it builds a foundation of respect and loyalty that cannot easily be shaken. The truth is, her hidden weaknesses are not meant to scare you away. They are meant to reveal who you are. They are the mirror that shows whether you are shallow or deep, whether you are careless or intentional, whether you are ordinary or rare. The way you respond to her weaknesses tells the story of the kind of man you are becoming. And if you rise to the challenge, if you meet her vulnerability with strength, you create a version of yourself that even you will admire. Strength is not the absence of emotion. Strength is the control of it. It is the ability to remain steady when others crumble, to provide clarity when others bring confusion, to stand firm when others fall apart. That kind of strength is irresistible, not just to her, but to the world around you. It makes you the man people look to in times of uncertainty. It makes you the leader who inspires loyalty without ever needing to demand it. It makes you unforgettable, but here is the truth you must face. This path is not easy. It requires sacrifice. It requires discipline. It requires you to put aside pride, impatience, and the urge to always be right. It demands that you listen more than you speak, that you observe more than you assume, that you respond with wisdom instead of reaction. This is why so few men ever master it. They are unwilling to do the work. They chase surface rewards while neglecting the deeper victories that truly matter. But for the man who is willing, the rewards are beyond measure. Imagine being the one man she turns to when her world feels heavy. Imagine being the one she trusts when silence weighs on her heart. Imagine being the man whose words heal wounds she never dared to reveal. That is the role awareness prepares you for. That is the role strength makes you worthy of. And that is the role that elevates you from being just another presence in her life to being the presence that defines it. Every hidden weakness you discover in her is an opportunity, not to control, not to criticize, but to lead with compassion. Each one is a door into a deeper level of intimacy, respect, and connection. Most men will never open those doors. They will remain on the outside, frustrated by the walls they cannot understand. But you have the chance to step through them, to build something that others can only envy. And when you do, You don't just change her life, you change yours. Because in the end, greatness is not about how much power you hold. It is about how much strength you can give to others when they feel weak. It is about how deeply you can love when others withdraw. It is about how much courage you can show when fear surrounds you. That is the kind of greatness that cannot be taken, cannot be faked, and cannot be forgotten. So stand tall, but do more than stand. See deeper, but do more than see. Understand her weaknesses, but do more than understand. Act with presence, consistency, and strength. In doing so, you will rise into a man who is not only respected but remembered, not only admired but trusted, not only loved but cherished. And that is the highest form of power any man can ever achieve.